And the ABC's Ian Mannix has been awarded a Public Service Medal on the Queen's Birthday Honours list. He's the Manager of Emergency Broadcasting and Community Development at ABC Local Radio, and he joins me now from Adelaide. Ian Mannix, congratulations. How does it feel to get this acknowledgement today?
Oh, it's always good to be acknowledged for your work, but it's very much an award for not just me, but for all of ABC Local Radio and the community that's helped establish emergency broadcasting, particularly emergency agencies.
Yeah. Well, explain to us what is emergency broadcasting?
We started emergency broadcasting back in 1997 when the Dandenongs caught ablaze after an arsonist went through, and the people up there needed information at the time to deal with the flames. There were no warnings being issued. Since then, we've worked with emergency agencies all around Australia to refine the process to give them advice that they can use at the time so that they can actually respond to a fire or a flood or a weather storm or perhaps a quarantine matter. Anything where there is threat to human life or massive quarantine or economic loss, ABC Local Radio would like to be there issuing official warnings to people so that they can actually respond. In addition to that, because we know that if we're not there during an emergency when no official warnings have been done, ABC Local Radio broadcasters want to be able to keep talking about the event in an authoritative way to give accurate and timely information. We're the only ones in the world doing it, and it's taken a fair bit of work to get to that point where we're really quite confident that the information we're giving out will be both accurate, timely and in context.
And what kind of feedback have you got from the community over the years?
The community has warmed to ABC Local Radio's emergency broadcasting. I think as an example, after the Black Saturday bushfires, the first thing that the Royal Commission had a look at was the warning system. And in fact, there was no real warning system, there was just the ABC Local Radio, taking as many emergency warnings as we could for that community. The Queensland Government responded, in fact all state governments responded after that and said, OK, well the ABC's given us a platform, we'd better use it. But the community itself has said repeatedly that the more information we give and the earlier we give it, the better off they are. And so now, after any emergency, when those warnings aren't issued, there's always a clamour in the community for an explanation as to why the emergency agencies didn't issue warnings, or sometimes the ABC. They want the information and they do come together and help each other if they can find a platform on which that information's being generated.
And has the system been refined since Black Saturday? I guess everyone involved learned lessons from that day.
That's right, the community learned lessons, emergency agencies and the ABC. What we tried to do was look at what the public is doing during a fire, what they're doing maybe during a flood. I was lucky enough to write some books about that. So the more we learn about what human beings are doing during or just before a flood or a fire or a cyclone, the more we can refine the messages, the more we can refine our relationship with emergency agencies. And about 3 or 4 months ago, the Chief of the Australasian Fire Authorities Council said that although warnings and the process may have crept up on them, it's now their number one priority. So the three partners in this process, the community, the ABC and emergency agencies, are always constantly working on ways of improving what we're doing.
And there definitely seems to be kind of a sense of ownership from the community when it comes to these events as well. I know I was up in North Queensland for Cyclone Yasi and listening to ABC Local Radio up there and hearing people calling in and telling their stories is kind of a way that the community is able to connect through those events as well.
Certainly we try to encourage that because we aren't always in possession of all the facts, but the community is. We need to know what they're doing, what they're seeing and also what they're feeling. That helps us at the ABC inform other people, not just about the specific events, but the scale and the fear that people are feeling and the needs that they've got. It helps the emergency agencies or the Weather Bureau refine what they're doing. So if we can build a partnership with the whole community and those emergency agencies, things work particularly well. And then you get that great community spirit when everybody comes together and they remain hopeful and optimistic. I'm conscious that in the Newcastle floods, when the Pasha Bolka ran aground and the roads were cut, the phones were out, ABC Local Radio was able to encourage that whole community to work together to help each other. And people were literally going from door to door, checking on elderly people, checking on the people who are infirm, who may not speak English, and that's the nature of emergency broadcasting.
And is there a template that you work with that swings into action whenever there's an emergency somewhere around the nation?
That's right. At the moment, ABC Local Radio and to a lesser extent Joe, News 24 and ABC News have really decided that the first thing to do is to get the warnings out by anticipating what's going to happen and then get people in place so they can respond if they need to. Yesterday, for example, in ABC Western Australia, we had people in Bunbury, Geraldton and Perth in the studios just in case that storm that you've just been talking about there did create some problems, and it did. And so in order to be effective, yes, we have to be in place early, we have to issue effective warnings, and we have to let the emergency agencies know what we're doing too. So at the moment, the system is running particularly well, but we're always trying to refine it, and we'll do that particularly with the emergency agencies and the Bureau of Meteorology.
Okay, Ian Mannix, congratulations once again and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Joe.